So Matt, I ever tell you about the time I dated a model?
Jack Frags?
Yeah, Jacqueline Frags.
Jacqueline. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, twist my arm, I'll tell you about it. Go way back in time to the year, I don't know what year it was, but I was in my young 20s, late college, so probably, I want to say senior in college.
Wait, this is a real story? Okay, keep going.
Real story. Yeah. I'm not insulting you.
We're learning something. I wasn't expecting this. Go on.
We're going to give you a story. So I'm a senior in college. Friend says, hey, I got a friend. She got out of a relationship a couple months ago. She needs a good guy. Like, hit her up on MySpace. This was that long ago.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I don't even think they had like dating app. I don't even know if they had apps, actually. I don't think there were apps back then.
I don't think there were apps. Yeah, it was just websites.
So I hit her up on MySpace, and she's like, we get chatting a bit. She says she's a model. I look her up. It's like verified. She is a model. I was like, whoa.
She a hand model?
That's what I was like, foot model, hand model, like earlobe model. What kind of model are you? You know? Right. But like, no, like full on like photo shoots. Like,
well, cool.
I was like, wow, okay. This girl wants to go on a date with me. We'll see what happens. So we show up at this like, this nice place. You know, I pick up a fairly nice restaurant, you know, a little out of my budget because I'm a college student, but it was like,
everything's out of your budget at that point.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, hey, I got to put on a good show. But she shows up, and she's 6 foot tall. I'm 5'8". Nothing wrong with that. But
nothing wrong. That seems reasonable. Yeah, okay.
Generally speaking, I'm already looking at it like, oh, this is like, I've lost. So I just go in like very casually, like kind of, it's like going to war, you know, you accept that you're dead already. So you're just like, all right.
Just because of the height difference? That's it?
Well, also she's like a 10.
She's a model. Okay.
She's 10. And I'm not gonna like bag on my college self too much, but I knew where I was in the pecking order.
I hear you.
Yeah. So I'm there. I'm like, there's no way that this is gonna like end with like us becoming a couple or something. You know, I'm like, let's just have a fun time. Whatever. It'll be whatever it is. Anyway, date's going great. Like, she's laughing at all my jokes. Like, we're hitting it off. She's really into video games. It's like things are really driving. I was like, what is happening here? Like halfway through the date, I'm thinking, is this, I'm like, God?
What's the catch?
What's the deal? Like, is this finally, am I getting like paid for just like, I don't know, just getting picked on in high school or something? Like, what's going on? Is this karma finally swinging back my way?
Okay. Yeah.
I'm like, oh man, like this might actually be something, you know? And then I get that thought in my head. I'm like, oh, there's the catch. Like you said, what's the catch? This doesn't make sense. I start doing the math in my head, right? I'm like, this chick's 6 foot. She's got like a model figure, very like slender, just like gorgeous, full on 10. Like if you saw her, you wouldn't like be arguing, I think a 9. You'd be like, oh my God, that's a 10 for sure.
Okay.
And she's on a date with me, and she's like smart. She's employed.
You met her through your friend, though.
Yeah. But I'm just like, it's not adding up. I'm like, there's gotta be a catch, right? So I start like trying to ask leading questions about things. I'm like, oh my God, like maybe she got some like crazy blood disease and she's gonna be dead in like a month, you know? I'm like checking into the
she's just interested.
Yeah, I'm like, did I miss like a peg leg on the way in or something? Like there's got to be something weird, you know? I'm like, of course, like my head goes to like, oh no, she's got some sort of like disease, some transmittable disease. And I'm like, that's why she's looking for somebody else. So I'm probing a little bit, and then she takes the conversation towards like, what do you like to do in the bedroom? I'm like, okay, this has got to be the catch then. There's something happening in the bedroom that's like a little bit different.
So you told her you play with Legos in the bed, right?
I told her to play with Lego. I mean, you know, I'm fairly vanilla, right? I'm like, sometimes I don't turn off the lights, you know, like not much I'm going to say that's going to be super impressive in this area, or risque rather. So I'm thinking in my head, like, God, what's her thing going to be? It's going to be some crazy kink, some weird thing, you know? Like, I mean, I'm preparing. I'm like thinking in my head, I'm making a list of like, what's going to be a deal breaker? I'm like, what if she's a furry, right? Like there was like a big furry phase at that time. Like, I don't know. She'd probably look all right as a squirrel, right? And it would be kind of like a downgrade, right? You'd be like, well, she's a model, but she wears a squirrel suit. You know, it's like, you kind of, you get some, you win some, you lose some, right?
I'm wondering where this is going.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I was like, oh God, it's going to be something filthy. Like there's some kinks out there that are just like deal breakers, you know, like,
all right.
I was like, if she's into feet or toes,
so
cool,
what did she say?
Go with it.
So where was it? Was there a deal breaker?
Okay, so it's going on, and I'm like, I really made this list. I was like, man, I'll go with almost anything at this point. You know, I'm like, there's a couple things that like deal break. You know, if she has a penis, deal breaker, right? Like if she's into anything with like bodily fluids, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Probably deal breaker. But I'm like, anything outside of that, I'm preparing for it, right? And then, so she drops it. She says, the thing that like really I'm into that I have to do every time, I'm like, okay, waiting for it, is I have to take a knife and cut my partner and then drink their blood during.
Okay, I can see why. Okay, all right. And I'm assuming you just left.
I think I made like a probing question. I was like, so this is like an every time thing, or is it like a once in a while? But if you know me, like I'm very squeamish around blood and needles.
Is she a vampire?
I don't know. That's the weird thing is like, I can understand how people would get weird fetishes, like a foot fetish or something. It's like maybe you see somebody's feet in like a weird time and like that becomes the thing. But how do you get into drinking blood, right? Like I'm like, watching Dracula while you're doing it or something.
That is the most bizarre. I've never heard of that. You've never told me that story before.
My face must have turned white like when she said it, because that was like, I hadn't thought of it because I didn't even know that was a thing.
Well, because I wouldn't have thought of it.
Yeah, I didn't know that was a real thing. And then I was like, okay. And I think I tried to like play it cool for the rest of the date, but just like in my mind, I was like, can I do that? And I don't think I can do that. I don't think
that sounds like a good way to die.
I was going over, what's that movie with Michelle Pfeiffer, Basic Instinct? You know, that was her thing. It was like super hot chick and then gets the guy in bed and then like kills him with a knife. I'm like, that's just an excuse to bring a knife into the bedroom. Like, no way. Like, I'm like terrified of this. So yeah, I kind of like, you know, I was a gentleman, but
I wouldn't think anything. Yeah, less. Of course.
And then the date ended, and I was like, well, that was the catch. That was the catch. Wish we could have led with.
It was a giant catch too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't have any cool stories like that. God, I had no idea where that was going. I thought it was going to be like, and that's when I said, welcome to the podcast.
And welcome to the podcast. Sure, we get the podcast started, Matt. I just thought I'd give people a fun little anecdote there. Welcome to the Level With Me podcast. We're going to talk about game news today. Lots of game news, possibly some movies, maybe other weird dating stories. Who knows? There's been a lot going on in the news. If you guys want to support the channel, you can subscribe. If you enjoy the podcast, hit that like button because it helps us with that YouTube algorithm. And of course, there's Patreon members who are watching us live right now and making fun of us and correcting us on all of our historical inaccuracies that we try and educate everybody with.
Or just making fun of us on our weird dating life, apparently.
Yeah, no, I mean, I didn't do anything weird. I just was, my life could have gone different, Matt. I could be in a blood stuff right now, Yeah, I know, right? I'm just like, is this?
No, thank you.
It's like maybe once a year or something.
No, not even once a year.
I don't even know. Yeah. Just that one. I'd put it on the calendar. I'd just be getting nervous the whole time. Like, no. Oh man. So what games have you been playing this week?
All sorts of games. Ready or Not. I checked out Bad Company 2. It's finally shut down now.
Yeah.
Finals. All sorts of games. Is there anything you want to discuss first?
Discuss first. Well, let's see. I could catch up to speed on the craziness with Star Citizen, man.
We'll hold that off for later, LevelCap.
All right. Last podcast, we talked a bit about Day Before.
Was there more news about it?
Yeah. So, well, it's not like it's come back or something like that. There's just been more clarifying information. I can't remember every little detail that we talked about, but the game got delisted from Steam.
Right.
And now devs are coming out and talking about the dev process for it. And there's indications that they've just taken a ton of money from people that funded the project. I guess they had a lot of funders and stuff like that, and they're just disappeared, or they're in Russia, so they can't do much about it or something. I don't really know.
So it was a scam.
Yeah, oh yeah. There's no debate over that. It looks like Mytona or whatever the publishers are, and the guys making the game are either the same people or they're like best friends, because apparently they're like in each other's videos and stuff. So they're like, oh, these guys are all working together and they're just creating some sort of like faux company publisher relationship that's not really real. They're all like the same thing. Yeah. They deleted like all of their stuff, like Discord, their social media, like everything. They're like,
they completely wiped themselves off.
Yeah, they're trying to erase the game. It's wild. Then they've already started a new company that's going to be based around mobile games or something like that.
Of course.
Yeah, but I think they got away with quite a bit of money. The stuff from the devs was pretty horrific too. They sounded like some of the worst bosses on the planet, and like we're just constantly.
They had volunteers too.
Yeah, and they're constantly changing directions and aims with the game and all that kind of stuff, and just doing all this stereotypical like this is how to destroy your company type. Dev decisions, but anyway, so it seems like not just consumers were ripped off, but possibly publishers who invested like millions or something into the project, and they're just like,
that's just horrible.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. I don't know if anything's gonna come of it, but because I mean, like, I guess they're based in Russia or something, but if that happened here, somebody would be in like some crazy lawsuit, and they would, have to be paying money for the rest of their life, or they'd go to prison for, frauding.
For fraud.
Yeah, fraud, basically.
Straight up fraud, 100%.
Yeah, so I don't think anything's going to happen to these guys, but one of the sad side effects of it that I'm already seeing, because I know a lot of indie devs. I keep in touch with them, just talk about their projects and like ask them questions and stuff. They're getting a lot more people that are being like, hey, this is some sort of scam project, or like, like they're talking about this, how
people are
that's
becoming more cynical.
Yeah, how it's going to hurt the indie community a lot more, and people are going to be less willing to back projects. And it was already tough before because, Kickstarter kind of became a meme at a point where you're just like the amount of Kickstarting projects that just failed and just didn't live up to the initial promises made it hard enough to raise funds for indie devs. And now, even on my latest Star Citizen video, I'm seeing the Scam Citizen comments are all back. And I was like, oh, wow, those kind of dried up over the past couple of years because they've been showing a lot of cool stuff in progress. And now they're like back and forth. So I was like, okay, like I'm seeing the ramifications. Like it kind of sucks, but I think the waves of the whole day before fiasco are going to be felt within the dev community for probably a couple of years, before people are kind of willing to sort of get all on board with some cool new project.
It's just crazy how like everyone should have seen this coming. No one should have been surprised. But it doesn't help when you have IGN pushing like their trailers constantly, and Nvidia with like, not like, I don't know if they were sponsoring it, but they were affiliated with them to some extent. Like they had the Nvidia, so that was giving it legitimacy. So we were kind of getting a little bit mixed messages. On the one hand, there's all these red flags. On the other hand, it's like there's some pretty big companies that are propping them up a little bit.
Yeah. Well, and again, I think we talked about this last time, but we're very plugged in to all the news and everything. So like us and basically any content creator who covers games that we know saw this coming a mile away, saw the red flags, and we're like, okay, like let's just wait and see what happens here. But not everybody's plugged in like us all the time. This is our livelihood. This is what we do. If somebody sees the ad in Times Square or the trailer blows up on YouTube and they see it on their phone.
Ad in Times Square.
Exactly.
That's
so you
wild.
see it, and it's #1 wish listed game. So if people are literally just on Steam
and they
looking at top wish listed games, Steam was probably promoting the crap out of it because they promote based on like that stuff. So there's a lot of people that probably had no idea what it was, saw the little crappy trailer on the Steam page and were like, oh, that looks cool. Everybody's buying it. I'll give it a try, you know? Versus us doing like years of research leading up to the project, right? Like,
right.
So I totally get how they could swindle a whole bunch of people with this type of thing, even if it does look super sketch, right?
Right.
But
that's a shame that the ramifications are starting to now be felt with other devs and smaller indie companies. That's unfortunate.
It really sucks, yeah. Because we're in the era now where like Unreal Engine 5 and like assets and stuff can be plugged into the engine and you can have a relatively good looking thing that looks like a video game that you can make a trailer with. Yeah. Like it'll hold up for the trailer only. Yeah. Basically, you cut right before the game completely explodes and falls apart, you know, and that's how you edit your trailer together. So unfortunately, that's still really easy to do. And so now whenever an indie dev puts a trailer out there that looks really awesome, people are going to be like, okay, is this another day before thing? Which, you know, consumers should be cautious, but I think it's going to add that level of cynicism that you're saying.
Yeah, cynicism is where you come into problems, right? You can be critical about something, but as soon as it becomes cynical, like it's just, you've lost it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's been interesting to follow. I think it's going to suck for a while, but I'm still excited. Just do your research, I think, is the main thing out there. Don't assume any project is fake. I think most indie devs are really passionate people who like are making a project because that's what I love about the indie scene is it's usually not driven by just like money grubbing, which is generally the big production studio stuff. It's just they're like, we need to make the next big game, you know, and it doesn't come from the inspiration to want to make a specific game, where indie games are like that, right? Where it's like, I've got an idea for a game, well, let's start a company and make it, you know, and like those end up being the coolest games, right? So it sucks that the passionate people are going to get hit the hardest, I think, by this. But yeah, do your research. If a project looks cool, it probably is cool. And if you're skeptical, just wait for the reviews. Somebody else will buy it and let you know.
That's the big thing. Just be patient. The reviews day one, I hate scores, but they do give you a really quick snapshot if something is terrible or not.
Yeah, for sure.
You had a chance to play Ready or Not at all?
No, I want to though. I actually haven't played it at all. Like I know you could.
Oh, really? You okay?
Yeah, I kind of held off on it for a while. I wasn't sure if I was gonna like it because it kind of reminded me of Rainbow, and then it's like Rainbow against AI, and I was like, what's the appeal? I don't quite get it. And then I saw some videos and I was like, oh, it does look cool. So I think 1.0 is a good time to jump in. I assumed you did.
Yeah, I played it when it originally came out, and then I played it like off and on over the years until where we are today. And to see where it began to where it is like like the contrast is just ridiculous. Like it is a significantly better game. It was already really cool back then too, but like the graphical fidelity is really good. Performance is probably my biggest issue right now. You will have some maps that will be like 120, and then you'll have other maps that will drop down to like 60 and below sometimes, which can get really rough. But other than those few little hiccups here and there, as long as I would argue that the game you want to play with friends. You can play with AI, and their AI is really intelligent, and you can command them. You have got like 4 people. You can kind of work around the map, and you can have them hold different angles and breach on in, and it's really cool. It's for companion AIs. It's very well done, but you're also having to like fiddle with it when things could be popping off instantly, and then they round the corner, they shoot you in the face. You're like, oh, well, that's okay.
You don't want to be commander and firefight leader, right? Like, you need the guys to be able to respond like people, right? Yeah,
exactly. So I think it's a lot more fun with friends, where you can be like, okay, I'm going left, you go right, 3, 2, 1, you breach in, then you pop, and it's really exciting. And the AI, so the AI is different depending on who you're going against. So you'll go against people like basically just normal citizens who have maybe, done a little too many drugs. And then, you go against people that are like ex military and stuff like that. And I believe, to my understanding, they all have a slightly different AI difficulty to them. So if you go against the ex-military people, they're a crack shot, like they're going to drop you quickly. You need to be on your game. And then obviously the earlier missions, not as much. And so it has a nice amount of variety. There's also like a little bit of story. There's each mission has like a description. You can listen to the radio and listen in on the debriefing and everything.
Are you the same squad each time, or is it like a completely different scenario?
So if you're playing it solo, you basically kind of manage your squad and you can hire in more. And then if things go poorly, like they can die and they can get stressed out. And if they get too stressed, they'll leave and they can go to therapy and they can come back and everything like that. Yeah, straight up. Yeah, so it's kind of like a little bit of like management in that respect, not too much. But if you are good and you can keep them at least somewhat happy and not die, they get perks, and those perks can help you.
Whoa. I had no idea the game had that level of depth to it where you like send your squad mates to therapy after they've like seen too much crap.
Yeah. I don't know. I haven't really touched too much on the single player component as much. So I'm not speaking from a lot of personal experience, but I did a little. And like some of them there's like a breacher perk where if you get them to that level, and I think you can only get one perk on each person, right? So you can technically have 4 perks. And like breacher means when you breach through a door, anyone who does, they'll more likely to give up. They'll put up their hands and and so it's all that kind of stuff. One of them will make it where your team gets less stressed during an encounter, things to that nature. Yeah. So it's a lot of fun. I do think it's much better with friends, and but all in all, like it's met my expectations.
I heard that people with actual military training or like SWAT style training do well in this game because it respects those rules of like how to hold your corners, how to clear a room in the proper way, how to work with your teammates and take the opposite angles and not get in front of each other. I hear they really like a lot of aspects of this game because it's one of the few games that really respects all of those mechanics per se.
Yep. You have to take it slow.
Yeah.
The one thing that can be a little frustrating is that it is, which one part of me likes, another part is like, holy cow, this is really difficult, is that you are incentivized and you get rewarded with a higher score if you can keep people alive, right? Yeah. But you're going against these people where you can put so you can use non-lethal or less than lethal, I think is what it's referred to. And
is that like tasers? Okay.
Tasers and things like that. And sometimes against, maybe not ex-military or whatever, they'll put up their hands and they'll be coughing, but then you'll pump just pepper ball after pepper ball into someone and they will not stop and they will just keep shooting. You're just like, okay, all right. So
do you have to switch to live rounds at that point, or like
you can, yeah, or you could have someone who is live while you're trying to.
Does it have like modifiers or rewards for like if you go non-lethal the whole time, you get like a bonus or something?
So you do get rewards. It has like a grading system, so I think it goes all the way up to S+ or S, and then all the way down to an F. Right. And so depending on how well you do, you will get a grade. And some of those grades on certain maps will give you a cosmetic reward. That's really the only thing. Right. So it's just you make your own fun. You can go on in and you can just dunk on everyone if you want to. Like, that's totally fine. But if you care about your score and trying to improve, that is a thing that you can strive for.
So you recommend it just generally? It seems.
Yeah.
Cool.
If you like a slow pace game, because you are going to have to play it slow.
It seems like kind of what the old Rainbow Six games were like. Yeah. Which was like much slower. You weren't doing all this crazy, wacky stuff. It was like, no, it's about infiltrating a building very strategically and minimizing casualties.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So I liked it.
I'll check it out. for sure. There's I didn't get a key for it, but I'm sort of working on it right now. I just have to reach out to the right person. But Tarkov Arena, I hear.
Oh, yeah. I haven't had a chance. I might be able to play it tonight. I think I just got access. I signed up for the beta, whatever, and I think they only gave it to streamers at the beginning, but I think I finally got lucky and I think I got it now.
Yeah, I'm trying to like make people are like, hey, message this guy or whatever. So I'm going to try and do that tonight and get a key. I've seen a couple of videos that said it was not good. So I don't know what to, I try not to take anybody's word on it, you know, especially since it's YouTube and sensationalism is such a big thing. But, you know, people usually don't say that, especially if they're content creators with a decent audience, if it's wrong, right? Because if you are the one guy that hates the game and then everybody's like, hey, like you're dumb, you know, like this opinion is
you're dumb.
This opinion is not good.
You can't, you just can't clickbait all the time because then your reputation starts to take a hit. Because if you're just clickbaiting and you're being sensationalist, and everyone disagrees with you, like they're just like, I'm not going to watch this
you're not going to
anymore.
build an audience. So if somebody with a big audience is like, this game is kind of lacking or has a lot of problems with it or whatever. I liked the idea of it, but I was surprised that they were charging money for Tarkov Arena. And there's just a bunch of other things. Like I've always kind of been on the fence. I never loved Tarkov. I've always been like interested in it, but the reality of Tarkov is something that I don't particularly enjoy that much. So I was like, oh, this could be a fun way to get into it. I like the idea of it. I don't like that they're charging for what it is, because it doesn't seem like it's offering all that much other than like a TDM kind of variant of Tarkov. They're just sort of reusing all the Tarkov stuff in like a TDM mode, and most other games would use that TDM mode as a gateway to get you into the bigger mode, which would be normal Tarkov. So I'm like, oh, this is a very weird approach to the game, in my opinion.
My guess is they're trying to make money. I think they've run into a problem where they've been in development for so long and they don't have any microtransactions in their game, that they're now probably starting to hit like a wall where there's everyone who already bought Tarkov has bought in Tarkov.
Yeah.
And so they're like, okay, we need to get more money into this because we need to pay our developers or whatever.
Did they
whatever
commit to no microtransactions in Tarkov? Was that like a promise that they made or something?
I don't know. That I'm not sure.
I'm surprised they wouldn't just try and do some sort of... Because you could do it cosmetics pretty easily, right? Although people
as long as they didn't get crazy with it.
Yeah. Like as long as you couldn't buy like a bush or something.
Right.
You're like, I'm the bush guy now, you know?
Or go the Rainbow Six Siege route.
Oh yeah, clowns and like crazy
literally,
stuff.
Just nonsense.
Yeah.
So if they stuck with like, you know, realism for the most part, I think people would be okay if there was just a couple of dollars for a tracksuit or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
they could
but
do something.
You know they wouldn't though. It would be like pay this to get like the premium account, and now you'll get XP and gold faster. Well, I guess they already kind of have that too.
The Edge of Darkness is an advantage. I know people will argue, but it is an advantage. It does help.
They'd probably find another way to do it. The thing is some of my favorite games are what people would label as the more aggressive microtransaction games, like War Thunder and World of Warships. The problem is they are great games because they've been in development for so long and they've made so much money that they can put a lot back into the game. But they're very aggressive, you know. I think a lot of the companies are Russian based or something, and they handle microtransaction stuff a little different over there. They just go, what's wrong with pay to win? And they've kind of tried to westernize their models a little bit more to appeal to our audiences, but there's still a lot of pushback against how aggressive some of the microtransaction stuff is, or how grindy the games are if you don't cough up a ton of money.
Yeah. So that's my guess why it's paid for the arena and not just a mode available for everyone who has the game. I just think they need more money.
Yeah.
But it's just a guess.
Yeah. Are you excited for it?
I am excited. The one concern that I have seen a lot that I'm a little afraid of is they have a progression system in it. So like Call of Duty, where you need to unlock basically different classes in this case, which gives you access to different weapons and stuff. Mm-hmm. But it's like you have loadouts that are just straight better. and you grind. And so someone who is early to someone who is like further down on that tree is going to absolutely destroy you.
Yeah.
They've got like 100 rounds, great ammo,
What
using
was their
weapons
old
with minimal
game?
recoil.
Do you remember their old game pre-Tarkov? It was like
I saw a little bit, but I never really dived into it.
I played it forever ago, but there was similar stuff like that where once you got the better gun, you're like, oh, I get how those guys were killing me so quickly before, because this is way better than that.
Because it's not like Counter-Strike where you do well in a round and then that gives you the currency to be able to change your loadout. It sounds like you pick your loadout at the beginning of the match and then you're stuck with that for the entire match. And win or lose, however well you're doing, that's your loadout. And so you could be going against someone who is just chatted out, and just good luck.
Yeah. So it's like Tarkov, but without the risk reward mechanic as much. Yeah. Right. Where you're just like, yeah, I'm just better. And yeah, if you die in it, I assume you don't lose your gear. I didn't watch enough of it yet.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
So each one does cost a currency. So like the better setups do cost some sort of currency. I don't know how that economy works. Maybe each round or each game, depending on how well you do, you get a lot of currency. So like one game, you'll have like a great loadout, and then you can't afford it the next match. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah.
But then
that would be interesting, because that would be similar to a War Thunder, World of Tanks, World of Warships stuff, where you can spend more on perks for a game, and then those perks will like give you it's less egregious in some of the games versus others, but like World of Warships, you can get like these little 5% bonuses that like make you a little bit better, and they're flags that go on your ship, but they cost you a little bit of currency to get those flags, or you have to earn them over time. So if you just used them every single game, it could end up costing you a bit versus using them every once in a while, if that makes sense. Yeah. So I wonder if it's something like that. But,
well, I don't really like it because on the one hand, I guess it means not everyone's going to be chatted because they just don't have the currency. I haven't played it yet. But on the other hand, it's like, oh, I had a really fun game because I had a good loadout. Now I can't afford it. Now I got to use like the free kit, which sucks. And so now I'm just going to get dunked on. Yeah. So it's like highs and lows for no reason other than just, in my opinion, at least from on paper, it looks like it could use some improving.
Gotcha. Well, I'll be checking it out if I get a key. I am curious about it because it's the more accessible version of Tarkov. Like, I don't want to do normal Tarkov and just camp in a bush for like 15 minutes.
Well, and that's what I'm excited about, is you'll actually be able to use the weapon mechanics and try to learn the game, because one thing that Tarkov doesn't do well is getting you into fights and getting you to like be comfortable with the controls. A lot of people will tell you to go into factory and just take out bots just over and over and over until you get comfortable. And that's good advice, because once you actually get into a situation where you are against another player, you start to panic and you never actually fire your weapon very often in the game because it's so high stakes, and then you just never really improve. So I'm hoping that with Arena, that'll kind of ease you in, people, especially me, ease me into it so I can really learn the mechanics more.
Yeah. I always didn't like that when PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds first came out. The engagements you would have would be they'd be semi-frequent, but infrequent enough that it was like you're not going to dial in your aim and weapon handling while playing the game because you just don't do it frequently enough. Where you coming from something like Battlefield where you're shooting at somebody every 10 seconds, you're like, okay, like I got my weapon mechanics dialed in really well. And then you pick up this other game, you're like, whoa, this is a cool gun. I wonder how it handles in your first engagement. You shoot the ceiling and the guy just kills you and you're like, oh, dang it.
Oh, great. Yeah.
I had no idea. Yeah, that's a tricky one to solve, but I guess like the allure of the Tarkov and the PUBG is enough just to get people in it and playing enough where they figure it out eventually.
Yeah, that's a great point, because I would have people back when I played Siege regularly, and they're like, hey, I'm getting into PC gaming. Do you recommend Siege? I'm like, not to learn. Go play like Battlefield or Call of Duty, because you'll actually be moving your mouse more and you'll be fighting multiple. You'll get way more comfortable with it faster in that kind of a game than like in Siege, where you only have like potentially five targets, and you may not even see anyone for the entire round. It's a lot slower.
That's interesting. I didn't think about that, but Siege is like is like your second or third shooter kind of game, where I feel games like Call of Duty, which get a lot of flack from the higher skill community for having so much auto aim and just crappy mechanics. Those seem geared more towards like, hey, you've never played a shooter before, hop into this game and it'll kind of auto aim and ease you into the process, and you'll be playing TDM so quickly and responding so quickly that you won't even be upset by dying. You'll just be at it again, right? Yeah.
You'll be right back in the action.
Yeah, it's interesting. I didn't think about that, but yeah, some of the shooters out there are like, this is not your first shooter game. Like, this is after you've gotten bored of the other shooter game.
You've gotten a little comfortable with it.
Yeah, now come over and try the hardcore shooter where you're not going to be shooting all the time. You're going to have to employ a lot of stealth and slow, methodical tactics, you know. That's an interesting thing. But yeah, not recommending Siege as like an early game. Yeah, I could see that. How you liking the new Twitch terms of service? Is it messing with your how much clothing you like to wear and stuff?
Man, it's a mess. Twitch has always struggled when it comes to communicating and getting their TOS nailed down consistently. So have you heard anything about it?
Yeah, so we talked about this last time, and I thought, I don't know what the timeline is on this, but what I had read was that they had already rolled it back, or like the terms were like no more artistic nudity.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think we've talked about this on the podcast. Maybe we did, and because it was only a couple of days where they had this window. But yeah, go on. So, okay, so. Maybe you should explain it, because I don't know all the timelines, and I'm not on Twitch. That's fine. So they basically came out with a update where you could have, like you said, artistic nudity, and I think they also allowed like pole dancing and twerking, but only in certain settings, right? So if you were, because people do pole dancing for exercise, it's just just for exercise, and so if you were doing something like that, it's totally fine. But the big thing was the artistic side, and I can understand where Twitch was going with this, right? Artists for a long time have been requesting this be an option because, I mean, throughout history, the way people learn how to draw or paint the human body is to paint the entire human body, right?
It's called life drawing.
So that was probably what Twitch was trying to give to the community. It's like, hey, you're going to have this disclosed. It's going to be a mature channel. They'll have to agree to, I'm okay for watching this, but you can now, that will be an option. And so I think Twitch was just trying to do good by their art community. At least that's what I'm hoping for. Of course, they give an inch, and artists took a mile. They went
Well, I doubt it was the same people that were like teaching life drawing on Twitch.
Right.
That was like 1% of the people that were like, hooray, now I can draw a naked person and show people how to draw the human figure.
Exactly.
That was like 5 people that were like, yay.
Yeah.
The entire
and then everyone else was like it was so bad. Not only were they, because there's like a lot of VTuber stuffs were doing this, so they were their avatars just full on just naked, and then they had
the VTubers were doing naked VTubers. Oh my god!
And the thing is that in the TOS they didn't allow avatars to have that, so there was the most bans in the history of Twitch, I believe, in one day.
so like a whole bunch of VTubers got banned because they thought they had the
just blanket. Yeah.
What's so funny about that is they're like the VTubers, the fake 3D avatar people are the ones getting banned, but not the actual naked people.
Well, that's the thing is I don't think there was any people who were just straight up just naked. I could be wrong. I don't really go on that side of Twitch. So there is a current trend where people are like acting like they are, but the camera doesn't pan down far enough. So let me keep going on.
Yeah, I've seen the non-pan down ones. Those ones are very weird. You're just like,
they are strange. Yeah. It's always, so there's constant there's like a meta where everyone's trying to walk this line. They're trying to go right up to it without going over. And it's just a thing. It went with like the pool, like they went for pools, the hot tub stuff, then it's like ASMR, like they go all over, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Twitch realized this isn't working. We just banned the most people we've ever banned in one day. We're going to roll it back. So I don't know if it was because of that. Could have been advertisers was like, what are you doing? We don't want our platform. We don't want our ads.
Kids are watching
products.
Twitch, and now they're one click away from,
So that's actually one thing I want to talk about. That's one thing I want to talk about because I didn't really like this update. I'm glad they rolled it back because this is not really what I want the platform to be.
Were people pressuring you to take some off?
I was twerking on
stream.
Yeah.
Doing naked handstands and stuff.
Just
naked. Hey, that could be your angle, the naked handstand, right?
Yeah. Could be. God,
nobody else is doing naked handstands.
That's true. For good reason. That is probably not very flattering. So I'm glad that they reverted it back because it's not a direction I wanted Twitch to go down. But one thing I found very funny, and it's the thing that you brought up, is think of the children, right? Now, you have to be 13 or older to be able to be on the platform. If you go to a mature or you're watching a mature game or whatever, it will ask you on your account, do you agree that you're okay with watching this content? And then it won't ask you ever again. So you basically consent that you're an adult, right? But you have to consent. So you see all these people on Twitter who are clutching their pearls. Think of the children, LevelCap. Think of the children. Have you been on Twitter? Like, why are you harping on Twitch so much? Twitter is literally so far and above worse than anything Twitch. Like,
it's really bad. Yeah.
Oh, it's horrible.
Well, I read the news on Twitter sometimes, and I'll be scrolling the news, and the replies to a news article will be porn stars or people promoting their accounts. Yeah. And I've had to do a quick scroll because I'll be sitting next to my kid or something and I'll be reading the news. I'm like, oh my God, what the heck, And
then you'll be scrolling through. You won't be subscribed to a channel that is showing someone dying. And you're like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh. So I like I said, I'm glad that they've changed it back because that's not something I wanted on Twitch. But at the same time, the blatant hypocrisy of being so upset about that platform while you're on a platform that is significantly worse, which also only has that 13 age restriction, right?
Yeah.
I just found it to be just eye rolling, I'm sure it's because Twitch is more geared or it's known for gaming and people always associate games with children when that's just not the case anymore. Yes, children play games, but everyone plays games now. So that's probably why.
There's a bigger, I would say there's almost certainly a bigger mixture of kids. The age range must be significantly lower on Twitch than Twitter on average, would be my guess.
It's a good guess.
Right. We don't know, but I would say it's probably a good 10 year to 20 year average distance, compared to.
Could be.
Yeah. Because Twitch is mostly gaming. And we're adult gamers, but a lot of people who grow up, a lot of people you probably knew growing up aren't gaming anymore because they had to get jobs and take care of the family and all that kind of stuff. And we just happen to be lucky enough to do it as a job, which is very, very unusual. So I would almost guarantee you that the average age range on Twitch is much, much younger,
It probably is.
Yeah.
But still, they do have checks in there to, stop, or at least, and also parents should be parenting, right? Yeah. They should be monitoring what their kids are doing and making sure that they're that's the thing is social media is, in my opinion, not really something little Timmy, 13-year-old should be really engaging with to begin with. So
it's fair. It's fair. Yeah. It's hard. It's tricky,
Oh, it's very hard. I'm not saying it's definitely not easy for parents to manage this, but
yeah, I think it's in Twitch's best interest because obviously, they're a company, they want to make money, they want to do all this stuff, but as soon as you start associating your brand with basically pornography, which is what it becomes if you allow that, now you're entering a realm for them from a business perspective in which a lot of advertisers are going to start pulling out their money from Twitch. They're going to be like, why would I advertise on Twitch? You guys show pornography and I don't agree with that. Whatever. A lot of big business and advertising now has become a moral thing. Hence the whole thing happening with Twitter, basically. big companies pulling their ad money off of Twitter, even though the engagement and the stuff on Twitter is like, I think it's doing pretty darn well compared to where it has been in the past. It's like,
I don't know.
Yeah, that's just what I think. Elon made a tweet a while back that was like the engagement
but I also
on
take
Twitter
everything that Elon says with a grain of salt now. So
yeah, I don't know. All that data is behind closed doors. But he just said it was doing better than ever, but the ad rates were lower than ever because there's like a big advertising
I heard they lost
boycott.
like $1 billion or something like that. Something crazy.
More than that. He bought it for 44 bill, and it's
I know, but they lost $1 billion just from I you know what? It was a headline. I'm not going to speak any further.
Yeah,
I don't want to spread any
it's crazy right now. It's crazy over there. I hope the platform doesn't die because I do like the platform, and I think some of the stuff they updated to it, like community notes, is really cool. But
no, that's probably one of the best changes for sure.
Yeah, but I will say after the changes have come around, I have been seeing a lot more of the like death videos and like random people advertising their porn sites and stuff, and I'm just like, where's the happy people? Show me the funny happy people.
The good news. I mean, that's not what gets those clicks and engagement. Come on, LevelCap, you know this.
Yeah. I hope comedy or something makes a much bigger like punch through. So like that's just like the main thing is like people being funny. It's like Reddit. You ever read the comments on like a Reddit thread? Like sometimes they're hilarious. Or if you go to like the right subreddits.
Yeah.
It's like people competing to make the funniest joke, you know?
Yeah.
Like, oh,
it can be fun.
Yeah. Why can't that be the Twitter culture, you know?
I don't know. It's all got to be just hate and just spewing nonsense, toxicity everywhere.
Yeah. Oh man.
But I am glad that Twitch reverted. I just wish they would. It's like they just keep ping ponging on a lot of stuff, and they really do struggle with their communication.
Hey, I don't like YouTube either. They constantly do stupid stuff. You know, the latest thing that's like a gripe for me as somebody who likes to watch movies is if you. I've rented a lot of movies on YouTube in the past because they have for a long time, in my opinion, had some of the best streaming quality, the best bit rate, the best compression. So I'm like, hey, if I'm going to stream on any platform and they all cost the same, let me do the one that looks the best. Well, they've been throttling the bit rate that they allow you to stream a rented movie. So not a YouTube video. If you make a YouTube video in 4K, I can watch that in 4K on any device, platform, whatever. But if I rent a movie from Paramount, you know, and watch it on my Chrome browser on my PC, it will throttle the resolution down to 480.
Why?
Yes, exactly. If you watch it on an Xbox, it will also throttle it down to 480. If you watch it on an iPad, it will throttle.
Can you bump it back up?
No, you cannot. You are limited, maxed out. Do you get
your money back?
Yeah, so I've been refunding stuff on YouTube because the only way you can get the 4K stream quality is if you watch it on an Android device. Yeah.
Why?
I know. It makes no sense because even if you try and watch it on Chrome, the Google-owned browser on your computer, it will still throttle you down to 480. And
that sounds like a bug with the system. That's bad.
No, I don't know what it is, but they've been doing it for quite a while, and it's just gotten worse and worse. And I'm just like, I don't get it. YouTube needs to figure their crap out because like YouTube Premium is like, it's like the only thing they offer is like no ads. Like, throw something else in there, guys. Come on. You've got all these assets.
Amazon has like all, free shipping and then all these other things. And then YouTube's like, I just don't get any ads. Oh,
you link your Prime account with Twitch, you get all this free stuff now, YouTube Premium's like, just no ads. We couldn't think of anything else. I'm like, you're Google. You have a gigantic mega platform. You literally have YouTube TV. Throw some of that stuff into Premium, give people sports or something, like what the hell? It's just driving me crazy. I'm like, come on, guys.
I hear you. I feel you.
Yeah. Big platforms that we are slaves to.
Right now.
We're
on YouTube.
Yeah. Or, you know what? A lot of people have been listening to the podcast on Spotify,
Oh, good.
Apple Podcasts, iTunes, whatever that is.
Nice.
I don't know. I just upload it to a website and it puts it on everything.
It's perfect. That's
but
all you
yeah,
need.
we appreciate you people who are just listening because visually,
except for you, Robert, you know what you did.
Yeah, freaking Robert.
God damn it, Robert. the one Robert's like, what the hell, guys?
Is he talking about me?
Yes.
So did you actually manage to get into Bad Company 2 before the servers went down?
I did, yeah. So for those that are not aware, Bad Company 2 is now officially over, at least in terms of official servers.
It's dead.
It's dead. I'm sure you can still play the single player, if I had to guess.
Probably.
But the official servers are gone. And it was a fun last final hurrah for what I consider to be the game that got me, started on YouTube, right? So it was cool. Plays super clunky, very clunky. The graphics actually hold up for the most part. But the fact that you can sprint, but you can't strafe while sprinting is the most bizarre feeling.
Even when Bad Company 2 came out, I think that mechanic was going away. Like other games were already like, yeah, we're going to have side strafing, and Bad Company 2 was like, whatever. Like we're stuck. It's DICE, right? They're always the last one that change. Yeah. Yeah. That's the hardest part about going back to Bad Company 2 is you're like, it looks like Battlefield. It smells like Battlefield, and I can't side strafe while I'm sprinting. What the heck?
But it was great to play on all of the classic maps. There was one server, and I was playing, and I literally played on the one server for like 5-6 hours, and it was nice because the server had admin cheats or whatever, where anything you did, heal, revive, got a kill on someone, you got 5,000 points. So I basically started from rank 0 all the way up to like 50 max or something. So I got like everything unlocked, and it was a treat playing through just in my opinion, a classic Battlefield experience. Yeah,
it's a lot of people's favorites, and they've been asking for that Bad Company 3 forever, and
yeah.
Do you remember when Hardline came out and people were just like, why isn't this Bad Company 3?
Yeah, man, I forget about Hardline all the time. When I think back on Battlefield, it goes from 4 to 1 to 5. And Hardline, I feel bad because it's not a terrible game, but I just never think of it as a Battlefield title.
No, Hardline was a very innovative Battlefield game. It's funny because there was the first Battlefield not developed by DICE, and all of a sudden it's like thinking outside the box for a change. And I'm like, wow, these guys have got all these great ideas. Yeah. It sucks that it's a cops and criminals game. Boy, oh boy. Because if they had just been like, hey, you guys make Bad Company 3, that game probably would have been a huge hit. And people would be like, oh man, Bad Company 3 is my favorite. Like that was the best game ever. And Visceral would be like a company still that would be
still existing.
It would still exist, and they'd be making like Bad Company 4 right now or whatever, like they could have just gone a different direction.
They made changes, like you said, innovations that were small and subtle, but I remember seeing some devs being like, oh, look at DICE now taking the little things that we made and put it into our games now. Like the objective on the minimap where you can actually see like where the cap points are. That was, I think, something that was introduced in Hardline. Being able to go up to like a medic or a support player and grab some ammo or health from them so they don't have to put it down on the ground for you. Yeah. That, I think, was also introduced in Hardline.
Well, what's so funny is the other DICE games that didn't add those features in after Hardline, the community was like yelling at them like, hey, we're not going back. Add this crap back in. And they're like, all right, fine. And then they did. And you're like, yeah, they had a vehicle spawn timers, so you don't just have to like spam click. Those are gone, or are they back? I think they're gone.
I think they're gone. Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, what?
Yeah.
All these amazing quality of life features that are just like lost forever.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is with DICE. This has been a theme forever where they take two steps forward and then they take like 3 steps back in some cases. Like, why are we going forward and then going back to where we were? Yeah, just keep going forward. Like, take what you learned. And I think it could just be that game development. So everyone wonders why Dragon Age, the original Dragon Age is so much different, and how could the company that made Dragon Age Origins make the most recent, like Dragon Age 3, can't remember, Inquisition, you know? It's because it's not the same people. Like the churn of these companies is probably so severe that it's just legit not the same company anymore.
Oh yeah. Like over the course of Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4, I got to know so many developers that worked on the project. Like, I don't know, 20, 25, lots of them. And most of them aren't even at the company anymore, you know?
Right.
Like, or they're at EA, but working on a different project, you know?
Right.
Like they just got moved to a different team. They left. They went to a different studio. Some have come back recently.
Yes.
But
like David Sirland.
Yeah, David was a big one to lose because he was like,
he was huge in Battlefield 4. He literally, I mean, who knows what went on behind closed doors, but he became like the face of the community.
Yeah. And every time you talk to him, you're like, oh, this guy isn't just like some pencil and paper type dude.
Yeah,
he gets it. He's a gamer. Like he knows what is good and what is not good. And then he's at the high level making decisions. But yeah I don't know. I got sort of like a good amount of hopium for the next game because they really gutted the management team at DICE. They're like, they got rid of it and like restructured and brought in a new, like not president or basically the manager of the studio that structures all the like organizational systems and stuff. Like she came in and was like gutted it and changed it and all this stuff. So 2042 got nominated. Did you see that for
nominated for what?
I forgot, for like most improved game or something like that. Yeah.
I could see that.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, you heard about the season 7 news.
I did. Yeah. And we're getting 2 maps. It sounds like
multiple
they say
maps. Yeah.
Multiple maps, which is like, bro.
Yeah.
The season 7 is we finally start to get more than just one. What?
Yeah. But also, so I did the math on it. It's coming out in March, which puts it almost half a year later than the last season. So pretty slow rollout of content. I don't think they were planning on making it until the game exploded with the most recent like free to play.
Yeah,
and
it's doing really well still, I think.
Yeah, there's a healthy player base on right now, which is great.
22,000 was the peak 24. So it's doing all right.
It's doing
5,000 playing right now. Yeah.
There's only so many people you can keep engaged when you're really trickling the content, you know, and that's been,
and this season's been out for a bit now.
Yeah, it's a good season, but it's one map and one battle pass that is faster to complete than most other games' battle passes, you know. So,
which I'm not gonna complain about.
Yeah, no, the finals battle pass, I'm like, whew, this is
slow.
Yeah, I think they're gonna have to adjust it or something.
It's very slow
because they're like, yeah, you got 90 days to do it. I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna.
I'm not gonna be able to finish it. Yeah, I'm not even. I don't even think I'm gonna get it because of that reason.
Yeah, it's a slog for sure. So. Yeah, so almost half a year later, but they did say in their very limited information tweet about season 7 that I believe they used the word like massive amounts of content or something like that, or it's going to be massive. So when they say maps and then massive, does 2 maps sound massive to you? Like not really
compared
to me.
To what we got before, kind of.
But I mean,
if they drop 3 maps, that would be insane. It would be the norm for past Battlefield.
Yeah,
right?
I know. Well, I know.
Nowadays,
we've just been beat down that we
really have.
We're just like, yes, 2 maps. Oh my God, what a luxury. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you, DICE. May I have some more soup?
It's so frustrating.
Yeah.
I've talked those before. I really wish we could get the premium model, but with a live service model, right? So premium content. So get 4 maps a season
with the live service thing.
With live service, you can't. All these devs keep saying, and publishers like, we're making more money than ever before with live service, but we get less content. Like, go shove it up here. Come on.
Yeah, like I think DICE is still figuring out how to monetize better because they're doing better, but they've been the last ones to figure out the battle pass thing. They're. Do you remember Battlefield 5 and BF1?
Oh yeah,
like seasonal like it was horribly set up. All that stuff was so bad, and that was when like COD was doing what Battlefield's doing right now. Like COD was like, this is how you do a battle pass and it's way better. And look at our stuff. And Battlefield was like, we're going to have weird trees that fork around and you have to pick missions. And now your assignments are like, get some headshots on this one specific map that you can't pick in a rotation.
That was Battlefield 5, right?
Yeah, it was one of them. I don't know which one. I can't remember at this point, but you're just playing it. You're like, this is the worst. Like, you're making me hate the game so much right now because all I want to do is progress the little thing, and I can't because it's up to just a random chance of fate whether or not I'll complete this arbitrary assignment. Completely arbitrary, you know?
Yeah. Imagine, though, if we got 4 maps every 3 to 4 months, though. Oof. Like we got with Premium back in the day. And
we were
but it was
so
all
spoiled
free.
with BF4. We didn't know what we had, man.
We really didn't.
Yeah.
But it just really frustrates me that they say that like this is live service is the way. Because if it wasn't the way, then they wouldn't do it. If they weren't making boatloads of cash, they would go back.
I don't think they can do it another way anymore because just look at the market, the competition. There's so many I made a video recently on the best free-to-play games, and even I was kind of amazed while I was going over it. I was like, my God, like this is the golden era of gaming. You can play so many top-tier games without any entry price that are like, and a lot of the paid stuff is cosmetic only. So you're like, you can get the whole experience aside from cosmetics.
Yeah.
For free. And you're just like, wow. And so like, and then somebody comes out and they're like, you must pay to play. I mean, it's so hard to compete in those markets now with these big juggernauts offering so much free stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think it has to be live service, whether or not it's funny. I did a poll on Twitter about what people would want is live service, premium, or like various other stuff.
And everyone said premium.
Of course they did. Yeah. It wasn't everybody. It was like 50%. 50 plus premium, and then live service was like 30 something percent, which a couple of years ago probably would have been much more extreme, way more premium. But I think DICE is finally starting to make people believe that live service might work. But yeah, 2042 has been a roller coaster, dude. It's been a complete roller coaster.
Yeah, it has.
Probably for the dev team too. They don't even know if they're going to make the next season, right? They're like, well,
we doing this, Jim?
Do I have a job next week? Or do I need to start putting my resume out there, man?
And probably the latter, knowing the way that things have been going for the game industry this last year too, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's the whole economy, man. It'll bounce back though. It's just recovering from the COVID, everybody being stuck inside, being like, I need more digital content.
We need more games.
Yeah. Speaking of more content.
Star Citizen.
Okay, so Chris Roberts did not come out and say this, but he put Jared Huckabee, who's the spokesperson for the game. Basically, he comes out and does an Inside Star Citizen video every week and keeps the community up to date on what's happening. He works for Cloud Imperium Games. He came out and he made a video, and like normally Jared is the guy who's like trying to hold back on anybody. If like a dev slips up and says like, and we think we'll get it in the next few months, he's like, hey, wait, like, whoa. We'll see what we can do. We're aiming for, sometime this year.
He's more realistic with his.
Yeah. So he's usually the guy that's trying to temper the expectations. I don't know if he got orders from the top to say all of this stuff directly or what. He seemed fairly hyped during the video, but I almost saw like maybe a fear in his eyes as he was saying these things. He laid out the roadmap for the next 6 months of Star Citizen, and the amount of stuff they are promising is like bananas. It is so much stuff. It's like most of what we saw at CitizenCon. Like,
what do you think caused this?
Well, I think they're bringing the whole dev team back from Squadron 42. So I think they're getting literal hundreds of employees bringing their content back. And so they're like, this stuff is all queued up and ready to go. We just got to put it in the game.
That's exciting.
So, I mean, I'll rattle off the list here for you.
Hit me with it.
All right. Master modes, which completely changes the way that you fly spaceships in terms of top speeds, rotational controls, atmospheric flight. It's tied to a new quantum jumping system where you get a quick quantum jump where you can quickly enter quantum and like get closer to a planet and like fly around a planet in quantum. Persistent hangars that are your hangar. And when you put stuff in there, it just stays there. So if you want a weapon rack and all your suits of armor, that could just be there ready to go. If you can park all your ships in there and load them with vehicles. That comes with cargo elevators. So everything you store in the station, you can have brought up on your cargo elevator, including tanks and vehicles. Apparently that's coming pretty soon. All the FPS combat improvements, which includes like drawing magazines from your backpack, better reloading mechanics, weapon wear, which includes misfires, new scope rendering, new dynamic crosshair system, new sliding stuff. Like
anything with the FPS stuff.
All of the FPS stuff. Yeah. All the FPS stuff shown off at CitizenCon is coming. The new EVA mechanics, which is you flying head first in space now and being able to grab onto the outside of spaceships and hang on to them.
Yeah.
Is coming, which includes the ability to maneuver in space without thrusters. And that's planned apparently, is like not every suit's going to have thrusters. So you might have to pull and or grappling or tractor beam yourself around. The visor and lens system, which is basically your whole heads-up display, is changing to the CitizenCon stuff.
The map?
The map is coming. Yeah.
That's the best change right there, hands down. Yeah. Victory!
You share the same opinion of everybody else in the community. That's like, all of this stuff is cool, but the map is number one.
Literally number one.
So they promised the map in the next 6 months, basically.
Sick.
New looting system, because dear God, the current one is just like, it's horrible. It's like,
it's awful.
It's like PUBG, but if it didn't work in every single way.
Yeah. 100%.
They're coming out with new mission apps and shop stuff. I don't know what it is. The new character customizer with all the facial and hair stuff is coming. New Moby Glass system. Star map, as you said. Distribution centers, which are these massive raid complexes. So it's like they showed them off at CitizenCon. They're just these huge buildings like out in the middle of like a big production center on the side of a planet. And they'll like have, these will be mission centers. They'll be like, hey, we need like a cargo delivery of whatever. Come drop it off here. And sometimes they'll give you a mission that's like, hey, we're under attack by like a huge pirate gang. Come in and help defend us. And it could be like an hour-long raid or something. And other players could come in. They look really cool.
That's neat.
Yeah, so I'm excited about those ones because it's sort of it's like where FPS combat is supposed to be fun. Or 6 or more new vehicles coming in the next 6 months. And then on top of that, a lot more pyro testing and server meshing stuff happening on like a separate test branch.
Because pyro's already in it, right?
Pyro's like being tested and you can do it on a separate test branch. Not right now, but whenever they open up the test branch. So they'll like update it and then you'll be able to play the next update to Pyro in the test branch. And then they said the plan is for summer, Pyro connects to Stanton and that just becomes the game. So that'll be the 4.0 update is summer 2024. Anyway, they said all of this stuff and I'm just like, wow, they put down a timeline on it, which they haven't been doing for quite a while. They've been like, we're aiming for this. They must be fairly
confident then.
Yeah, no, the 6-month timeline was not, we're aiming for this. That was, this is what we're delivering in the first half of next year. And I was like, holy crap.
I hope they can.
Yeah.
I hope this is like, because once you have your foundation, you got everything, you can just start, you can really speed things up. So I'm hoping that means that things are finally starting to snap into place. Yeah.
Well, the foundation isn't totally done yet. They're still getting the replication layer and server meshing stuff online. I think they're really confident. I just this morning jumped into a full-scale replication layer test on one of their tech branches, and it was working. So, I mean, that's encouraging. You know, it's like all that encouraging. The tech they're showing off. It's like, here's step 1. All right, step 2's coming soon. So, I'm jazzed. It's still news. Great. It's news about news, basically, but it's
true.
It's they're hyping me up, man. I'm getting hyped. And it might actually be the point where I start like inviting more people to come in because I'm not I'm not like getting friends to come into Star Citizen because I'm like,
you should try Star Citizen. Like, no.
You're gonna
just pump the brakes.
Yeah. Do you like to build computers? Then you might enjoy Star Citizen, because if you like troubleshooting and dealing with lots of things going wrong all the time, you might be able to weather the experience. But otherwise, if you're looking for a solid thing, so hopefully it'll be solid. But it's still in a state where like AI needs a lot of work and stuff. You know, you go on an FPS mission, and I killed 18 dudes on a mission this morning and not a single one returned fire, right? So you're like, yeah, it's not good. It's not good.
Great.
They'll get there.
They will. I believe him.
Yeah.
It might be baby steps, but they're getting there.
Yeah, it's great exciting, update. Man. Yeah. It's pretty exciting. And so, I mean, if they're going to deliver all that over 6 months, that means that each patch is probably going to be very substantial. Like, it's not all coming in one patch, because that would be insanity. Yeah. But I would imagine it's going to be like 3 or 4 items per patch, and that'll be a big update. The persistent hangars is something I'm really looking forward to. Like
a place you can call your own.
Yeah. And then like I'm like, hey Matt, come over here, grab a gun, grab some armor, hop into drive this tank into the back of my spaceship.
So much nicer. Holy hell.
Yeah, so you don't have to do 20 steps to get loaded up.
All right, so we're going to go all these different, we're going to go buy our stuff, and then just having a place that you can just gather loot for sure.
It's going to be a huge quality of life update. And then new players coming into the game who somebody else is showing them around, they can just be like, join my party, come into my hangar, just get some gear and we'll go, rather than like, okay, dock at the station. Now, you need to get the upgrade for your ship over here. Just like huge pain in the butt stuff. I think it'll really help multi-crew stuff, where instead of everybody having to meet up somewhere and then all get onto the same ship, it'll be like, just come to the hangar. We'll all move out from there with everything that we need,
Definitely.
It's going to be sweet.
I see you saw Leave the World Behind.
Yeah. I saw 2 movies since the last podcast.
What did you think? I saw it too.
Okay, yeah. I was a little worried that it was going to go like heavy-handed with some of the woke messaging and stuff, because that's, you know what I mean? Like, it was going to be like, we didn't take care of the environment and now like everything's exploded. Okay. I thought it was just going to be another one of those type movies.
Okay.
I thought for what it was decent. There's obviously a couple little plot holes here and there, but
dude, it was Anxiety the movie.
Yeah.
It was just there was never like a jump scare, no jump scares, but it just kept ramping up and up and up and up and up and up. And I'm like, when are we, my heart? I just feel anxiety the entire time.
For anyone who has no idea what the movie's about, basically the plot is kind of like a modern day cyber attack on the US and what that would look like for basic society. And it's I described it as sort of like a long episode of Black Mirror, which is like, here's a very plausible thing told in a way that feels pretty realistic. And here's the actual horrors that will ensue. And you're just like, dear God, this could happen tomorrow.
So, but then the only thing is those damn deer, bro.
The deer was stupid. That was very,
the deer, I've never been so anxious about deer in my entire life.
Their black eyes, they stare into your soul.
They flick on the lights real quick, and there's just like, I'm like, whoa, that it freaked me out, and they did a good job. But then
I think they needed a tool to make it more creepy because otherwise it was like nothing.
Yeah, right? that's what they used. So I get it really was a tool. So I don't want to get into spoilers or anything like that. I thought it was all right. I thought it was an okay movie. The payoff at the end was a little lackluster, but I thought it was reasonably well acted. It was an interesting movie.
It had a huge cast. I mean, it did. Julia Roberts, Ethan Hawke, Kevin Bacon, how do you say his name?
I don't know.
Yeah.
He's very good though.
Yeah, really good. He's in tons of stuff. I actually rewatched another movie with him in it. The one about it's like based on an anime where the chick's like the battle angel. What is it? Alita?
Oh yeah,
battle angel Alita. Yeah, I rewatched that, and he's in that, and he's good in that too.
I should watch that movie.
Have you seen it?
No.
I like it a lot. It's got a little bit of camp to it, but the world and the premise is so fun that you're just like, I don't care if it does have kind of these cheesy kind of, it's very faithful to the anime, which in live action never comes across well. So that's the only part of where it suffers a little, where you're like, this feels like an anime line.
Because it is.
Yeah, because it basically is. But I hear they're making the sequel to it right now, which I'm really pumped about, because
I'll have to watch it then, because it's something that would be up my alley.
It's cool. It's very violent too. Like it's
really
weird. Yeah, because it's got like a lot of kind of anime tropey stuff in it, which is sort of like cute girl and kind of like sort of innocent.
Just absolutely dunks on people.
Yeah, and it's like, hey, let me cut your face off with a sword type thing, you know? And you're just like, dear God,
Jesus.
Yeah, like when it ramps up, you're like, whoa, was not expecting it to go to 11.
That to happen. That's cool.
It's pretty solid. I think the coolest thing about it is the lore. They like set up this cool lore where there was like a giant battle hundreds of years ago between, I think, like Martians and Earth or something, and like everybody died, and like the remainders are like the people left over. Like there's one like beacon of technology which is like a floating city, and then everybody who lives below it basically is just, they can't get up to the city, which is like a utopia, and they all just have to work in this crappy city below it where things are just trash.
God, that would suck. You can like literally the trash just falls down on you, and they're like sucking nerds.
They're literally like just gods up there, like looking down on you. Yeah, they do dump the trash on the city too. Yeah,
of course they do.
It's a fun premise. So yeah, I recommend that for anyone who hasn't seen it, because I as far as I hear, so it's what's his face, James Cameron has produced the first one, and he's like trying to get the second one made because he loves apparently the anime or something. So he really wanted to get it made, and I think Robert Rodriguez,
he has the money to do it. He can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, he can do whatever he wants. He's like making Avatar 3, 4, 5, 10, whatever they're on now. Yeah. I also saw Killers of the Flower Moon. Have you
Never
heard of
it? Oh, is that the one with
Yes.
Okay.
Leonardo DiCaprio,
yeah.
Robert De Niro.
Yep. Huge cast.
Yeah, huge cast. It's Martin Scorsese. I think those guys all just like live together or something.
They probably do.
They make all the same. Yeah.
Isn't it a 3-hour movie or something?
3.5. It's very long, but engaging the whole time, and it's a true story. So
based on a true story, or
so I read up on it afterwards, and I couldn't find any details that were off. It all looked very much what happened in real life. It is wild. So it takes place in the early 1900s, following a Native American tribe called the Osage, and basically they struck oil on their reservation, and they became the most wealthy people per capita on like the planet, basically.
Wow.
Yeah, which is like this crazy story, but then basically the white people came in.
America showed up.
Yeah, they're like, so here you got a crap load of money.
Had some oil in your pots.
Yeah, and so like there's a lot of devious scheming craziness that happens around it, and I mean it's pretty horrific in many regards, but incredibly well made. Great performances, very engaging. Yeah,
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, highly recommend it.
They always do good work. I mean, they're all amazing actors, and so
they do. It's hard. I find it hard to ramp myself up for a 3.5-hour movie, but
because it's so long. I mean, I know, ridiculous.
But I started this one, and it's one of those movies where you're just like, dang, this is so interesting that you just carries you the whole way through. So you're like, oh man, like that was apparently has. I thought they were going to show more, because apparently it's like very much intertwined with the formation of the FBI. Like I think the FBI was literally formed to deal with some of the happenings around Osage County, or the Osage tribe or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cause I think it was like the Bureau of Investigation, and like nobody knew what it was. And then like they had to like really step it up or something. Like it was just dealing with the ultimate corruption, where like local law was like in on it, you know? So they're like, well, who enforces local law, you know? So they had to come up with a good solution, you know?
Yep.
Yeah. So I highly recommend that. Yeah, it makes me want to. I didn't watch The Irishman yet, which is the other Scorsese, Robert De Niro film, which I think is also like 4 hours. And it's also supposed to be really good. But now I'm like, all right, maybe I'll give The Irishman a try because I just didn't want to sit down for like a 4-hour mob movie, basically.
Pretty much. It's basically essentially watching like episodes just strung together into one movie. You know, like an actual TV show, like a limited series kind of TV show.
Yeah, yeah. Rebel Moon is coming out soon. I think it comes out in 3 days.
21st, yeah. Reviews for it are not looking good.
No, they don't. So I don't. Yeah, it's hard to know though, man. Like, 22% on Rotten Tomatoes.
It's real rough. Yeah.
Ooh, dang it, man. Because Zack Snyder's a hit or miss for me. Like some of his stuff I like a lot, and some I'm just like, ooh, that sucked. So maybe this will be one of those. But I had high hopes for it because it was his idea. He wasn't doing like a Batman or a Superman movie. It was like
it's his baby.
It's his baby. It kind of, I think at one point it was he was trying to sell it to Disney to direct a Star Wars movie. And it was this story and they like didn't want it or something. So he's getting it made.
We might see the reason why they didn't want it. We'll find out.
Yeah. I'm still going to watch it because it's a big budget, exciting sci-fi thing.
Yeah,
you know,
we don't get enough of those.
Yeah. And those are just fun to watch. And I want them to make more of them. You know, I want more sci-fi stuff, but I don't know. The audience score is higher, but because it's in theaters right now. It's got like a 3-day theatrical release. So it's like, how are the audience rating it already?
Yeah, I was wondering how they were seeing that.
It's wild, dude. The audience ratings are either 5 stars or 1 star.
There's
no in between.
Well, the audience score just for on Rotten is 72. So
yeah,
it looks like people are at least enjoying it.
I found myself sometimes I'll side with the audience a lot on these ones where the critics are like, "This is terrible," and it's like,
because critics are they probably see so many movies
like horror films, or they don't get they often miss a lot of the like meta commentary and like other things where it's like,
or it's also because they watch so much of the same content that it's just not fun for them anymore.
Maybe, but it's like movies like Starship Troopers, right? Where like the audience loved it. The critics hated it. The critics didn't get that it was like a satire and like all this other stuff, you know? So it's like sometimes they'll just completely miss the whole point of the film.
That is true.
Because it's like a genre or an idea that there just isn't theirs, or they don't know it well enough to get it or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Horror movies fall subject to that all the time, where the critics are just like, this is the worst thing ever. And then people who like horror movies are like, this is actually a great horror film. Like, what's wrong with you guys?
Just don't watch horror then, I guess.
Yeah. Don't review a horror film if you just hate all horror films, you know? Yeah. It was scary.
Though, to their credit, a lot of horror does suck.
Oh, yeah. 99%.
There's so much trash, and they just fall in the same tropes, and so I get it.
What's your favorite horror film?
Oh, I don't watch a lot of horror. The one that comes to mind, though, that I absolutely loved, because I only got recently into horror because of video games.
Yeah.
I used to never play them, and then my chat bullied me into them, and not really, but, you know, and so now I appreciate them more, but I watched Cabin in the Woods, which I thought was fantastic.
Oh, that was fun. Yeah. That was also kind of a parody on, like... Yeah. Horror tropes and stuff like that.
Yeah. Reminded me of Tucker Dale
I think
versus
I've
the
seen
World. That one was fun too.
Have you seen, it's called like, I think it's called like Somebody Dies at the End or something like that. It's called like John John Dies at the End.
I've not seen that one, no.
I think that's what it's called. It's like if it's the one I'm thinking of, it's like one where it's like an alien invasion, but they ran out of budget like halfway through the movie. So the special effects go from being kind of crappy to like, oh my God, did like your nephew make this on his computer or something?
Oof. That's great.
Yeah, but it's pretty funny. I enjoyed that one. If you want to, my favorite horror film is Hereditary.
Okay.
If you want like a movie made like masterfully, like artistically from a filmmaking.
Is it jump scare filled or?
No. I'm I'm trying to think if it has any jump scares in it. I think it does.
I hate. They're the cheapest,
No.
lamest.
No. I don't think it has jump scares. It does a different technique, which I almost don't want to ruin because it like
That's fair.
it does a technique that I think kind of started a new way of shooting scenes to make them creepy.
A lot of times they'll like pan over and they'll like the thing will be in the background and you'll sort of like notice it.
So
and then
this was the first movie that I saw that did that, and it does it quite a bit. There's quite a few scenes where you're just like, this is just a normal scene. What is that back there? Do you see see the thing moving over there? Yeah.
Right. I prefer that because it's not in your face about it. Like it's incredibly creepy. You see it coming, but that's it's so much more enjoyable for me.
Yeah. Jump scares are very cheap, and like I'll deal with a couple of them in a horror film. A
clown could pop up and be like ooga booga booga, and it still freak me out if I'm not expecting it, right?
Yeah, it doesn't matter what it is. Yeah, there's a couple films that I'll give pass on the jump scares because they're sort of trying to embody the classic horror tropes, and they're like doing it in a funny or fun way. But ones that are like legit just relying on the jump scares the whole time, you're like, come on, guys, just creep me out a little bit.
I'm gonna have to check it out. Hereditary.
Check out Hereditary, dude. The director did another one after that called Midsummer. It's a good follow up.
Oh, yeah.
Did you see that one?
Decent things about that. I haven't. No.
Midsummer is also very good. I think Hereditary is his better of the two.
It's all bright, isn't it? It's just like it's literally a horror, but it's just outside in the summer.
Yeah, it's in northern Sweden. So at the time of year, it never the sun never sets.
Right.
And it is so creepy. It's like it's got a lot of Wicker Man vibes. If you ever saw, they've made a billion remakes of the Wicker Man, but sort of like just cults removed from society, you know? And you're like, what do these guys get up to?
No good. That's what they get up to.
Not good stuff, man. Not good.
Not at all.
Yeah. So watch Hereditary. If you like it, watch Midsummer after that one, because that's a solid follow-up. Same director. I'm just waiting for this guy to drop his next film. I'm sure it'll be... Maybe he has. I haven't been following what he's doing, but...
Cool.
Yeah, those are my recs.
You want to wrap it up?
Yeah. You're welcome, audience, for all our amazing movie recommendations and for keeping you in the loop on all the super important gaming stuff going on. If you guys want to support the podcast, consider becoming a Patreon member. You get to watch us live like all of our super cool people in chat right now. And you also get to have a nice little Q&A, sort of off the record conversation after the podcast with us, which is always fun. Subscribe, give us a like, do all those YouTuber meme things. And Matt's going to give us some words of wisdom.
So this is going to be a little hypocritical because we're on a podcast, and I realize that. But I thought it was cool because it vibes with modern society, and that is normalize not telling everybody everything.
Yeah, I got that. I get that. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that advice is great for certain people too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for dropping by. And we'll see you next time.
Take care.